Okay, cool. Hopefully you had a good weekend. All right, couple things to do. One, I'm sorry we ran over last time. I got confused on the time, and we were also having a good conversation. I thought he was coming. Okay, trying to sneak in the back. Okay, so I'm sorry we ran over. I don't ever want to do that to you, so thanks for saying something, and please say something. Okay. I'm assuming we're all taking 42 to get the leadership certificate, correct? Okay, good. All right, then you're on the right track. So today, I'm going to give you your Danger 79 pins. They go above your ribbon rack, okay? However, this is an ethical dilemma. You have to complete the application. It's a link. It just takes a few minutes before you can wear this, okay? So I'm giving it to you today, and that I'm going to trust you that you're going, yes ma'am. I will send it to you. I will send it to you right after class, okay? I'll send you the link. It's just the application that you're going to finish. It's nothing more than that. If, like, say you were ROTC or whatever, you transferred in, you're doing a 485, a directed study, you got to make up a class, or you're worried about anything, or you have any questions, you can check a box on there that says, I'm strange and I have questions, okay? And that's okay, right? Just go ahead and complete it anyway. This is just the start of the process. Cool? I'll go through the details of the mentor interview and all that stuff you have to do, but we're not worried about it yet. We're good. This is just, I'm here, I'm gonna get the certificate. Cool? I'll send you the link. After the link, then what?
The pin.
Then you can wear the pin. Sound good? Cool. All right. Here, will you pass one out there, please?
So as long as we've done SOMS classes every semester that we've been in the quarter, we're good for the certificate. Is that correct?
Yeah, 281 on. Okay. I think it's 281 on. I don't know if the freshman sophomore ones count. I honestly don't remember. You guys started with 281 in the Hollingsworth Center.
There's no additional requirements.
No, other than what you have to do in here in 482, which we will cover later.
Got it.
So this is just, I've been taking SOMS. I intend to get the certificate. Cool? Okay. And I'll send it to you. It's a short link. It'll take you 3-4 minutes tops to fill out. And again, if you have a special circumstance that you're worried about, you can check that box. Come in. We'll get you straightened out. Our goal is to help you get the certificate. Like, we're not trying to exclude people. If for whatever reason, again, you took a term abroad or whatever, or football season was more important than SOMS and you didn't take a class, we will try to help you, okay? But hopefully you're good to go in all that sense. Sound good? Cool. Okay. Everybody got one? Sweet. All right. So, can't put it on until you do the form. Don't do it in class. Okay. All right. Where did we leave off? What were we talking about last week? What did we learn? Who was it bothering? Who was still debating after class?
There's no wrong answer.
Right. There's no wrong answer. There's also no correct answer. Okay. I'll back up just a minute. We'll go to the last one that we were actually on. Okay. This is just kind of jog your memory. This was the short-term and long-term dilemma, right? Do I go get my master's and be homeless, right, and not around the family, but I get to provide more in the long run, or do I choose not to do that so I can be around my family? Ring a bell? Okay. So, this I think is where we left off, okay? You're the chief editor of paper. Paper likes to hire good young writers. You've hired a talented young writer who comes from a highly regarded university. Young writer produced a soon-to-be-published article in the food section during the summer about blueberries, and you like it. The next day, a very experienced food editor hands you a 30-year-old article about blueberries. It's the same article the young writer gave you. This is the cardinal sin of journalism. She or he has plagiarized. So, do we choose justice or mercy? Where are we at? What do you got?
I say justice because if she did it now and she's like in the field, how do we know that like her whole career in school she wasn't doing the same thing? Because I mean, yeah, we say she's talented, but if she's done this before, maybe that's why she's talented.
Okay. All right. So what are you gonna do? She fired?
Probably.
One or the other. Fired?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. What do you got?
Are we talking about like pursuing like official charges or just firing?
So what do you want to do? You tell me, man. I don't care.
I think I don't. I,
You're the editor.
I would say fire and then conjugate about destroying her.
Okay, so you're out for blood.
Definitely fire, but I would have to think about pursuing like
Okay.
ruining.
The legal action you can do because she plagiarized.
Because if you can, I'm sure there's a process of making sure that every person that would hire her in the future knows that she plagiarized at this person's company. So
Okay. Who else? What do you got?
I definitely fire.
Okay.
Try not to destroy her life in the process.
Okay.
I think, I mean,
First job, pretty tough. I mean, just getting fired, that sucks pretty bad. Okay. So just firing is good?
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
if like any other employers ever called you for a reference, be honest about it.
Okay.
That's why we fired her.
All right. Chase, you're nodding, same thing?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Because she comes from a highly regarded university, she should know better,
Okay.
but that's not a flower.
Okay. Who else? What do you think about Garrett?
I agree with those two.
She's out?
She's definitely out. I also probably pull her aside while I'm firing, telling her, this isn't acceptable in any way, and I guarantee you that if you continue to not gonna have a career in this field.
Okay. All right. Who else? Huh?
I think that the problem says it pretty clear that it is she committed a cardinal sin in journalism. It's not just like a sin in just journalism, but in creative arts in general, or even anything that relates to writing.
Okay.
Is that plagiarism is just unacceptable. And if she took university, she should be used to the fact that she always has to reference and all that, and not plagiarizing and all that. But she did it, so
Mm-hmm.
no mercy.
Is anybody not firing her? Why not?
I don't know. I've messed up before. I get it. It's like a whole, she's coming from a super good university. I would dock her pay pretty bad
Okay.
and I don't know, give her, I don't know the company's rules, but give her a couple more company punishments, probably like probation or something.
Okay.
And I'll let her edit for like 5 years or publish paper and then, no,
Okay.
I wouldn't fire her. I'd let her
Is this
keep
the
it.
first thing she's ever, like, put forth out?
Yeah.
Company?
Yep. What do you got?
Actually, I think I would still fire her, but hearing what he has to say kind of makes me think I can use this to my advantage. If she's doing stupid stuff, I dock her pay, right? I mean, I can make this.
So
work
how
to
does
the
this benefit
of
you?
the company. Well, because if I'm in charge of any sort of financials for the company, I mean that's less money I have to pay her.
Mm-hmm.
So that looks better for the company.
Okay.
There's other things I can use that money for, and maybe I can still keep her on. Maybe she can benefit from it too.
Okay.
Big brain time.
What if her mom was dying of cancer?
It's relevant.
Huh?
It's relevant.
Why? You just fired her, Zach. She's out.
Make ethical compromises like that.
It's irrelevant, you said?
It's irrelevant.
Okay, so you're still firing her?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you got, Aristotle?
I would still fire her because you're not supposed to make emotional decisions when it's about a business. You're supposed to think logically and what they've done in the firm only.
Okay.
I don't care about if you really want me to be blunt, I don't care about your outside life. Like, I understand there's gonna be problems and stuff.
Okay.
But once you get into business, please be very professional.
Okay. Garrett?
Still fire. The reason behind that would be she definitely could have reached out to us and told her, hey, like this first article, I don't have the time for it. My family's
Could have.
some
Could have.
health issues.
Yeah. Could have. Didn't, but could have. Yeah.
I think it is. You could present her with two options. You could be like, all right, I can fire you and publish you as a plagiarizer, or you can work for me under probation with,
But you just said you're firing her and pursuing legal action.
or
You kicked her out and you wanted to hurt her. Right?
There's two options.
There's 1,000 options. You guys all
Two
picked
options that
one.
Make the most sense.
Except for Ryan, right? Except for Ryan, every single one of you wanted to fire her.
The only way that I would not fire her is because if I don't fire her and I dock her pay and all that, then I could make sure that she doesn't pollute the industry, and I can take her under my wing, little to no pay, and then scrutinize her work for the next foreseeable future. future.
Of course you
and
can,
see if she
but you didn't.
But how do you know she's not gonna leave?
But hold on, before we can get there, but you didn't. You immediately said she's fired, cardinal sin, and I want more. Not only are you out, I want to punish you more than losing your job. What do you got, Randy?
I think you don't fire her.
No, you didn't speak up a minute ago.
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure until he talked. But I think that, like, the cancer thing as well, like, you're setting a bad precedent for people, and also if she's a young writer, she's talented, give her a break once, and then she messes up again.
Bingo. At least give her one strike, right?
But I think for, like, the rest of your company, if you're like, like, I don't care if your mom has cancer, like, I'm firing you, like, your employees, why would they want to stay and work for someone like that?
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Like, there's no incentive.
I still stand behind mine.
And that's fine.
That's not the
You
point.
can, right?
When
You
you're running
can.
a business, like, your goal is to take care of your people. At least, that's how I would run a
If you
business.
set an ethical standard for your business and you go back on that
Yeah, and
ethical
my standard would be mercy. So,
well,
Would you risk
But do you see? But do you see why he feels that way? You don't. Hold on. You don't have to agree.
one person, her first article plagiarizing me is going to bankrupt the company.
plagiarism?
Right.
Yeah, it's her first article.
it's still wrong.
It's just setting up.
Yeah, I'm
But
not saying
it
it's
is
not
wrong. It is wrong. But can you choose to give her a chance? You can. You don't have to. Brandon can choose to keep her. Ryan can choose to keep her. You can choose to punish her. But you can give her that opportunity because your company relies on people. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. If you don't give a shit, fine. Don't give a shit. Some people will thrive on that. Others will hate you. And it's okay. Then they know where you stand. But none of you thought, what is she going through? She's a new employee. Why did she do this? None of you asked a single question as to why she did it. In any situation, you should ask why the employee did it. Some people are pieces of shit. She might have said, I plagiarized my way through college. Then you know. Then she's out. If you want to do that. Okay? Letting you had your hand up.
I was gonna say, like, I can definitely understand giving her a chance, but also if you give her a chance, then what message does that send to all the employees who may have parents who had cancer but made the right decisions their whole career, didn't think about the book? Because they're.
But what's the
saying,
difference?
Oh, well, you gave her a chance, but my whole career I chose the right thing, and she's still got the same job I do.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it kind of sends a message. Then all the other employees think they can start getting away with stuff like that as well.
But if the other employees have been there a long time, they probably know where you stand, right? And don't we treat every single person differently? We treat our buddies differently. We treat fish differently. We treat people who go to T-SIPs, treat them differently. Right? Huh?
I would still fire her just
Okay.
because, to me, plagiarizing is not owning up to your mistakes, right? You know that you messed up. You gotta make money for her cancerous mom at home, but and you know that if you know that you're not meeting a deadline, plagiarizing is not a way to own up to your mistake of not meeting a deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, you should. I don't know if my future company or wherever I work at is, but I think that one of my beliefs is that if you have a mistake, you could just come talk to us and say, "I'm sorry, I just."
You
did
could. A lot of people don't. A lot of people don't. Right? They're afraid to talk about it. They're afraid you'll use it against them. They don't want to share personal things. Okay? But you don't know what the person's going through. Doesn't make it a valid excuse. But none of you asked. None of you cared. She did something wrong, she's fired. And that's fine. But you can't do both. Do you understand?
I wasn't saying do both. I was saying.
But you immediately backtracked and said, well, let's do something else. There's a different option. There's 10,000 options. You can dock her pay. You can punish her. You can fire her. You can reprimand her. You can make her edit. You can tell her she can't write. You can talk to her college professors and say, by the way, did you know this happened? Did it happen in the past? Right? There's a million things that you can do. All right? But you got to choose one or the other. You can't do both.
Wouldn't she have to sign like a code of ethics for that company or no?
Yeah, sure.
So why couldn't that just be reason for her to get fired?
You can. You're totally justified in firing her. But it's what you're choosing to do. I can choose to say, God dang, why did you do this? And then she breaks down in tears and says, I screwed up, I was new, I didn't know, my mom's died of cancer, I didn't want to tell anybody. And at that point, you can decide, okay, you still screwed up. I'm sorry to hear about your mom, you're out. I don't want you working for the paper. And you're fine to do that. What they're saying is, okay, you screwed up, this is a big deal, I'm not going to fire you. And they're right too. It's what you choose to do with people. You're both right. Does that make sense? You don't have to agree. I don't care that you guys have different ends. You're both right and you're both wrong. Per the other perspective, right? And that's okay. Right? But we have to choose one or the other. Okay, so what the hell? Went through all this shit. It's really confusing. When you're dealing with hard situations like this, right versus right, try to boil it down. Try to get to the root of the problem. Try to simplify it. It's often very complicated, but figure out what the main issues are, okay? Can you reduce it to common patterns? Get to the heart of the matter. Right? What's really the issue? Okay? Each value is right. You're both right. Okay? But they exclude each other. If you fire her, fine. She can't work. If you go after more, she's not going to be a writer anymore. Fair enough. She plagiarized. Okay? She has personal stuff going on in her life. I can decide if I want to punish her for that, for what she did or not. Okay? It's up to you guys. The litmus of paradigms helps us spot the difference between ethical dilemmas and moral temptations. Great words. What does that mean? Break that down for me. Two simple words you guys love to say. Say it loud and proud.
It depends.
Every one of the situations we talked about, it absolutely depends. It depends on the situation. All right? Do I tell the employees who might quit that they were exposed to HIV and AIDS? Or do I keep it private to protect the patients? Okay? Do I choose to fire the young writer or not? It absolutely depends. Okay? So finally, you guys are justified. Right? The whole time, you were right. It totally depends on the situation, everything that factors into it. Right? Ethics. Now, if you've had me before, we get into this, where I used to really say that these are separate, and they are. But in your guys' perspectives, I'm not sure they really are. Okay? Ethics, morals, values, principles, they're all pretty similar. But ethics are moral principles that govern a person's behavior or the conducting of an activity. Your ethics are how you act. Okay? That's what you choose to do. Your morals are a standard of behaviors or beliefs concerning what is and is not acceptable. That's you judging others. Your morals are literally how you view what they did as right or wrong. So you all have those in you. Most of you haven't taken the time to define them, but they're all in there. And you see what they did is wrong, right? You can choose that. You can say what they did is wrong per my morals, and that's fine. But not everybody's morals are the same. In this classroom, they're not the same. Magnify that by the core across A&M, across Texas, the country. Just watch the news for 5 minutes. Right? We don't all agree or view things the same way. So, how do you deal with it? Just because you're thinking about it does not mean you are resolving it. If something's going on in your outfit, in your classes, personal life, family life, whatever, and there's a dilemma and you got to think about it, you got to make a decision or whatever. Just because you're thinking about it does not mean you are resolving the issue. Okay? So you got to go further, which we'll get into here in a little bit. Resolution requires choosing the nearest right, and that requires principles for decision making, your own principles. Right? If there's no right decision, you have to make the hard decision. So, there's a few different ways you can evaluate that. Utilitarianism. Do whatever produces the greatest good for the most people. I can choose to tell or not tell or do or not do if it's going to help more people. All right? We'll get into that later today. That's the end-based thinking. Rule-based thinking. Follow the principle you want everyone else to follow. If they broke the rule and you want to fire them. You're good. You're good. If you choose mercy because that's how you're wired, you're good. Right? It's completely up to you. But it's the principle you want everyone to follow. Care-based thinking. Do to others what you would like them to do to you. Most of us, particularly in your age, do not consider the other perspective. What is that person going through? What are they dealing with in life? Okay? That's okay. It's just kind of a natural progression, right? And I can send these to you guys if you want. All right? Cool. So, we having fun yet? In September, if you had me, well, this fall, we covered this. So it would be a review. I would ask you to play along. Some of you don't remember what you had for dinner last night, which is also helpful to me. Okay. If you have not had me, this was in 481, this was your teaser to 482. So just play along if you know the outcome. For those of you that don't know what we're about to get into, this will be fun. Good? Okay. All right. We have decisions to make. That silver plane is a KC-135 tanker. The jets behind them is the F-105, nicknamed the Thud. There's two versions. There's a single-seat fighter, and then you can have electric warfare officer in there as well. When this jet was built, it was the largest single-seat fighter in the world at the time. It was a great big badass, and it was really fast. Okay, so we are in the Vietnam conflict. You are an experienced tanker pilot. You're flying the big plane. Okay, you're a refueler. You got a lot of experience. You've had many missions. Okay, generally for a mission, there's 4 tankers, so 4 refuelers, and 16 jets. Okay, you are the flight lead of the tankers, which means you are in charge, right, of all the other tankers. You're good with planning and precision. You're on the ball. You know the rules. You know what to do. You know what not to do. Okay. As a refueler, you are the anchor. You fly near enemy borders, not over. Generally, you're over the ocean. Okay? What the fighters... Got an emergency already. Okay. In-flight emergency. Good time. What the fighters do is fly to meet with you guys. They refuel. They go on the mission, and they come back and get fuel so they can make it home. All right? The F-105 has an electronics warfare officer. For this mission, they also have the payload. So they go drop their ordnance and come back, okay? Refueling on the way back to base. Here's what happens. A fighter jet calls you. They're in distress, okay? Their plane has been hit. They are still flying, all right? But they're in trouble, all right? The plane's damaged and he's leaking fuel. The pilot calls and says, come get me. I'm over enemy territory, but if I hook up to the refueler, you can basically drag me back over friendly territory. Okay, I'll be providing fuel, but 2, you're literally kind of dragging them like a tow truck through the air to get you back over to friendly territory. That pilot is unable to make it to the anchor point. Right now, they can bail out over North Vietnam. Not a good outcome back in the day. Okay, usually did not end well. Right. The fighter says, the other fighters in the area said SAMS, which is surface-to-air missiles, and machine gun fire is suppressed, at least temporarily, okay? You know that tankers are prohibited from going over North Vietnam. You've got 25,000 gallons of fuel, you get hit, and it is a ball of fire, and it is bad publicity, all right? You've got air crew on your flight, okay, and the airplane that you're responsible for, right? Propaganda for North Vietnam would be tremendous to shoot down an American jet in a big ball of fire. Right? Okay. So, you're the lead tanker pilot. You're in charge of your crew and your plane. Are you going to get the fighter or not?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. And you can ask questions.
So when we, so
Yes.
refuel them and then drag them out, which way are they dragging them?
So they will be flying over North Vietnam, flying towards South Vietnam. So you have to go to enemy territory to meet up with him, to hook up and fly him back safely.
Okay.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Can you call Shannon Man and ask for them to make the decision?
You could. They're going to tell you no. They're going to tell you absolutely not. Yes, sir.
Do we have to like land in order to
Nope.
do any of that?
Nope. You're just hooking up with him. You can choose to go or not go. You can go hook up and drag him back, or you can say, sorry, bud, you're on your own. Yes, sir.
How deep into behind the enemy lines?
You're going to be over there for a little bit. Aristotle?
Are there any defenses on the tanker plane?
Nope, none. Yes, sir.
How about justice supports on the plane?
They got to refuel, so everyone's on the way back. So they have to get fuel so they can make it home safely. Now, ground fire is suppressed for now.
Do they have enough fuel to get where they need to go?
Who?
Tanker? Like,
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're good. We can go get him and come back. We're good. Yes, sir.
Is there anybody on the tanker crew with me?
Yeah. You've got, I think it's 4. 4 or 5.
I would ask them what they wanted to do,
Okay. Cool.
and if they were cool with it, then we'd go get them.
And if not,
I'd dip.
huh?
I would dip.
You're out. Okay. So majority rules. So democracy on the plane. If they want to go, we'll go. If they don't, we're not going.
Yeah.
Fair enough? Okay.
Can we disobey direct orders?
You can. Absolutely. What are you going to do?
I'm gonna do what I'm told.
You're not going to get him.
If they, I think
It's fine. Totally
yeah,
fine.
If they tell me no, but if they say, hey, it's up to you, then that's another conversation. And then
They're going to tell you no if you ask.
if I ask,
If you ask.
I would do the democracy thing too.
Okay. Huh?
Can you like take off things from the tanker, or it's just that there's no way to like take off the fuel that's because it's the
No, you're in error. You're either getting them, you're either hooking up and giving them fuel, or you're not. It's one or the other. Question?
No, I was just gonna say I kind of agree with the democracy thing.
Okay.
Regardless
Majority
of-
rules.
Regardless of getting told no, like I think it's one of those things you just kind of have to make a decision for yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, similar with that. I would see if they're comfortable with it, but it's my final say. So I'd say if all of them are comfortable with it, then I would go. But the reason I'd ask is because if we get shot, we die,
Mhm.
it's on me.
Mm-hmm.
But I would want to go.
Okay, so you want to go get him. Are you asking your crew, or what are we
I
doing?
would ask my crew.
Okay, and what if there's one of them says no?
No.
Just one? Okay.
What are the repercussions of this? Let's say it all goes well, and I go in and save the guy, but I get back. What are the repercussions? Like how bad?
We don't know yet,
Is this a
right?
slap on the wrist type of deal, or is this you're getting dishonorably discharged type of deal?
There's going to be repercussions. You have no idea what they are if you survive and it goes well.
There's nothing wrong with getting dishonorably discharged.
What do we got?
Well, but
Hold on, Zach.
has impacts on my life.
If communicating with higher up, what are the possibilities that they can send out something to get this person?
They can try a rescue, but he's going down either way. He's going down in North Vietnam, and statistically, we're not doing well there. If he survives, statistically, if he survives, very likely we're not going to get to him in time, and very likely he's going to end up in a POW camp. Garrett, huh? The pilot, same as the other guys that are making it back. What up? Yep.
I think it's important to I guess reiterate my point, or not really my point, but just I want to kind of change my perspective to kind of like Lombardi was saying, if a single person said no, I'm not going to force them into that because right now I don't know if maybe they had like a family or just somebody back home or something.
Sure. So does this guy.
I mean, yeah, but
He has a
I gotta-
newborn, actually.
I
You
gotta
wanna know?
I
He
gotta
does.
look out for my crew first, and then
Okay.
I'm not gonna put them in danger for somebody else that's already in danger.
Okay, so we're not, so greater good
Yeah.
is where we're going with here, which is fine. Not going to risk my crew for the sake of one. Bless you. Right?
I mean, if they all said yes, but unless if it wasn't unanimous,
If they're all good, what are you doing?
going.
You're going to get him.
Does he have an EWO or is he?
He's a single seat. Yeah. Yes.
And does the entire
Yeah, they're all on the plane. They're going with you. Yeah. They can get out, but it's not good either. Question over here. What are we doing?
I'm not.
I'd say no.
Not going? Not going? Huh?
He made an oath. He knew what his possible outcome was.
Do you see why I love Aristotle? Aristotle knows exactly where he stands in life, and there is nothing wrong with that. Okay? Good. Yes, he knew the risk he was taking. He absolutely did. Okay? But when you're faced with death, it's pretty shitty.
Yeah, and I mean,
And he's asking you for help.
Just like any normal human being, you're gonna try every single way to survive.
Yeah, he's asking you for help, and you can choose to help him or not. So what are you going to do? Okay? Where we at? Gareth? Going to get him? Yeah.
So I'd say, like, just in that case, I mean, I know a lot of guys who do that with me, so
Okay.
give this guy the benefit of the doubt.
All right. Lillian, what are you doing? Go get him? Why? Cool. All right. Lenny?
Yeah, I'm gonna get him too.
Get him?
Same thing, Pickle said, like, if I was in his shoes, I want someone to come get me, I'm not gonna leave him behind.
Okay. Who's going to get him? Who's not? Okay. Fair enough. Right? This is a true story, which is why I like sharing class. Okay. He went and got him. It took the crew about 10 seconds to decide. He said, "Do you guys want to go get him?" They all said, "Absolutely." Okay. They chose. They didn't ask for permission. They knew there would be repercussions. But it was the life that they were worried about. Okay. That's another American pilot, and we're not letting him go. All right. They did hook up, and they did tow him back. Okay. And because they did that, they actually had to land at the fighter base home. Okay, so they drug him close enough. They got him back, and the tanker land where the fighters land. Okay, which was in Thailand, which is not their home base. The commander of the fighters nominated the pilot for a Distinguished Flying Cross for going and saving his pilot's life, who did in fact have a newborn at home. Okay. Now, a couple days later, the pilot returns to his tanker base. His commander calls him up, comes to his office, has the paperwork for the Distinguished Flying Cross, rips it up right in front of him. Says he's going to get booted, demoted, dishonorably discharged, kicked out, you're going home. What you did was reckless, all right? You shouldn't have done it, all right? Throws it away, kicks him out of his office. Now, he did not kick him out of the Air Force. He didn't even demote him. He didn't follow through with any of the punishment. He was irate at what he did. Okay? Said it was wrong. Said he shouldn't have done it. Okay? But it was Vietnam, and we needed pilots. Okay? So they didn't punish him at the time. All right? Saved the guy's life. Here's how this process works as you guys were working through it. And all the stuff we talked about beginning of this class and last class. Awareness. There's a moment that counts for who I want to be. Reasoning. What should I be considering? My other air crew. My own life. Okay? All of the things that factor in. His life. Okay? All of those things factor into what you're considering. Decision. How would the person I want to be do what I'm about to do? Action. Are my actions consistent with who I want to be? Here's the problem. When faced with these challenging decisions, these very real dilemmas, these issues of I'm going to get in trouble, okay, but I'm also going to save a life. Most people don't step to the action. Most people don't take the action. You just think about it constantly. What would I do? What would I have done? Okay. This is Galen Sargent. He was the tanker pilot. Colonel Sargent, pretty badass name. He grew up in the Panhandle of Oklahoma. He was an animal husbandry major. He was an ROTC. All right. And if any of you know who Gene Kranz is, he was a director of the Apollo missions at NASA. He was one of his pilot buddies when they were younger. Okay. In the tanker community, from Vietnam and on, this story was well known. Now, it was legend. None of it was ever published anywhere. Okay. But everybody knew that Colonel Sargent went and saved a fighter pilot's life. They thought he was a certified badass. Okay? They loved him for it. All right? When my dad was a pilot and actually interviewed Sargent, which is how this story just got published a year or two ago. First time it was published. Okay? He said, "Why didn't you tell people about it?" Colonel Sargent said, "I didn't want to sound like bragging." He said, "How'd you feel about the choice?" He said, "I sleep well at night." For him, there was no dilemma in going to save that other guy's life, no matter what the repercussions were. For him, it was the right thing to do. So that at night, he wasn't laying there thinking, "My God, maybe I could have saved another person's life." Right? Now, they didn't kick him out. He retired as the commander of Strategic Air Command's evaluation group. However, he felt that he never got promoted to full colonel because of what happened. Right? He felt that that was always held over his head. In the grand scheme of his life, that didn't matter. What he did was the right thing for him, no matter what the promotion was or wasn't. And we just lost him last year. He just passed away. This is the hard part, guys and gals. It's choosing the action. Right? What would you do in these really hard, shitty situations? You better know who you are. Because the pilot took the oath, right? The fighter pilot, so did the tanker pilot. And he took an oath to protect his fellow airmen. No matter what the consequences were, that's what he chose to do. If he chose not to, that's okay too. But you better be good with it. You better be able to sleep at night and say, "I didn't risk the other lives." This could have ended horribly. They all could have died. Right? That's a possible outcome. So you better know what you're getting into, right, when you go into those situations. This is the hard part. Right? Questions? Did you guys remember this? No, you did. Did you remember it? Okay. You were nodding right away. Okay. Did you remember it? All right, good. Usually it sticks. Okay. A lot of the other stuff I does, nobody remembers shit. We talk about stuff like this. Okay. But know who you are. All right? And that's the hard part. Really. Know who you are. All right? What would you do if? Okay. We learn anything today? What did we learn?
Decisions are hard.
Huh?
Decisions are hard.
Decisions are hard. Yep. What else?
I said I have more questions.
Which are?
I'm just like, how do you foster a culture of doing the right thing
Mm-hmm.
while being able to make potential like reckless decisions
Mhm.
for the better?
Yep.
It's like, was that the best outcome? Yes.
Was. Could have ended horribly.
Then.
Could have ended horribly. And it
So
does.
You don't want to teach people to make decisions like that because then 9 out of 10 times they're probably going to go bad, and then you have the worst situation.
Could be.
So you can't. I don't think you teach that. I think it's that you got.
That's the point.
Yeah.
That's the exact point. Stick with me all semester, bro. You're going to love it. Okay, because we're not done with these. Yes, ma'am.
I just think that even because he did go, even if it went terribly, let's say like the tanker blew up and then all the fighter guys didn't make it, maybe like the news would say that, oh, this guy actually went and tried to get the fighter guys who he was trying to help.
Mm-hmm.
And that would, like, I feel like that would boost the morale of, like, the American Army. I don't know, I have not studied U.S. history on the Vietnam War.
It's really short, the Vietnam War.
But
No, I mean, in U.S. history is very short compared to other countries.
yeah, but from our perspective, because I studied the Vietnamese side of the Vietnam War, I
Mhm.
know that
it took the U.S. until the Gulf War to recover from Vietnam, because we did so many things wrong. We made so many decisions that ended in us being 10-0-1 in wars. Called a tie. That's a joke. That's funny. Okay. Until the Gulf War, did we learn what we did? We did so many things wrong in Vietnam. When Iraq invaded Kuwait, we did so many things right because of what we learned in Vietnam. So but it took us that long to kind of get over it. It's a rough patch in American history. Okay. One of the, you think like shit going on right now is crazy? 1968, right on par. Okay, right on par. That's the same year that MLK was assassinated. Robert Kennedy was assassinated. We're trying to get out of Vietnam. The riots in Chicago is a mess. Okay, and here we are again. Right. So, it happens. Okay. Anything else? We learn other things. And be good with your decision. Okay, we're all different. We're all different. We're going to make different decisions, and it's okay. Just understand why people might feel differently. You don't have to agree. Okay, just understand the other perspective. Right? That's something I think that's really hard for people to do in general. Stick with it. We have 5 minutes over, giving you 5 minutes back. Deal? Go be awesome. Have a wonderful week.